It's the final month of December. It's the last month of the year. You know, let's talk about what I'm going to read. I don't know how to do this hook anyways. Hello, I'm Pete. This is the Ponderings of Pete. And if you didn't know, I talk about fantasy, I talk about sci-fi, I talk about some non-fiction. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to see more of this, hit the subscribe button. Bell notification down below. If you want to read any of these books and want to purchase them, then down below there's also affiliate links where I make a small amount off of them. Let's talk about what I'm going to be reading in December as I slow down to a normal pace of speaking. First up, last month I read Eye of the World. This month I'm going to be reading The Great Hunt. Wow, big surprise. This is probably going to be the last one I'm reading for a few months, because I am starting Realm of the Elderlings in January, but I did like Eye of the World. I think it was great. So I am continuing with the series. Definitely with a more analytical eye when I did read like the first 3 or 4, but I think it definitely still holds up a little bit in and of itself. Excited to get to this, big epic fantasy series. So, content, right? Next up, and these are in no particular order, Gulag Archipelago, but still only volume 2 because I haven't really even cracked this month, even though I was supposed to read this. So I'm continuing on with volume 2 for the Gulag Archipelago. If you didn't know what the Gulag Archipelago is, because I don't actually think I've explained it to people what it is the account of Alexander something starting with an S, Solzhenitsyn. He's a survivor of the Russian gulags during the time period of the USSR. He wrote A Day in the Life of Ivan Desinovich, which talks about the day in the life of the gulag. And as a result of that book, he actually got a bunch of letters from hundreds of other people that survived the gulags. And he has put together all of the information he knows, all of the information he got from the gulags, from these letters, and he put them into 3 very large volume books and published them. And this was done while the USSR was still in operation. So it was widely regarded as, a criticism. Some people say that it helped bring down the USSR because it exposed one of basically their secrets they really didn't want to know, which is essentially that one of the parts of this is that a lot of the USSR infrastructure was built by essentially slave labor in prison camps. On top of the fact that if you lived in Russia, at some point you could almost expect to go to the gulags or just get sent to the lines. But it's definitely inspired a lot of literature. I can see, not necessarily mirrors, but somewhat inspiration for 1984 in this book as well, because I believe 1984 was written after this. I could be wrong. Speaking of 1984, I haven't finished it yet. I've been occupied by other books, and then I hit a little bit of a slump in this last part of November. So I do need to finish this. I lost where I was when I dropped this book when I was at the gym. I've definitely gotten a lot farther than I have in previous months. So I'm continuing to read this, and I am loving it, even though I'm not reading that much of it. There's a lot of thoughts that this book is talking about that have been banging around my head for a while, and it's actually helping bring some of these thoughts to the forefront of this is helping me come to certain conclusions, essentially. Sticking with old sci-fi stuff, God Emperor of Dune. I am currently reading Children of Dune as we film this video. I'll probably be done with it by the end of November. I only got 2 days, but I'll probably be able to finish it because these aren't that much. If it's Dune Messiah levels of things. So I'm excited to read this one because it gets weird. I've said it gets weird. I actually accidentally read the first chapter because I thought this was Children of Dune for a hot second. I didn't read the cover. And yeah, so Children of Dune, book 3, God Emperor of Dune, book 4. And then we'll see if I want to continue after book 4. I'm not really sure because I've been told that this comes to a conclusive ending and that Heretics and Chapter House leave you on a cliffhanger before we get to the Kevin J. Anderson stuff. And I'm not sure I want to read that. So maybe one day. So I may stop at God Emperor after this. We will see. Let's talk real quick about the books that I don't have. Fred, the Vampire Accountant, book 5, Deadly Assessments. This is, as I said, the 5th book. I read the 4th book this last month, and I'm really enjoying the series. This series is not overly complicated. It is nice. It is fun. It is very comfortable to read. I can not super analyze everything and be fine. So yeah, it's a really good series. Lots of found family, really funny, very satirical about an accountant that gets turned into a vampire. And it's great. So go read it. And then the other one I do not have is Leviathan Falls by James S.A. Corey. The release date on this one keeps getting pushed back. It was originally supposed to release in November, but now it's not going to be released until early December. So I'm glad I didn't put it on my November TBR because I wouldn't have gotten to it. So yeah, this is the conclusion, the last one in the Expanse. I have this, and then I have the short story collection to read, and I'm done with the Expanse. So this has been, I read most of them last year. I think I read the first 2 or 3 in 2020. But it's been a long trek to get to the end. And it's nice to finish a series, you know? I'm super excited to finish it. I keep saying super excited, and it's bittersweet. Because there's some characters in there I like. This was also the first Daniel Abraham book that I read. So that was my introduction to some of his writing, and that really gave me a lot more idea of what his writing was like. Leviathan Falls, man. Guys, wow. It's almost here. So check out. I'll probably do a series review or something at the end of that. And then another one that I am stoked. See, not using super excited. The Folding Knife by KJ Parker. This is a standalone. I've heard there's lots of economics and banking and some other stuff in this one. And that it talks about, I believe it is nope, I think that's the different series. I keep getting this one and The Dragon's Path by Daniel Abraham, I think a little mixed up. Yeah, it's about a guy named Basso in a fantasy kingdom and money and economics and stuff. Look to my December wrap up to figure out where this goes. I will definitely have more conclusive thoughts then. All I know is I like KJ Parker's writing style because I've read Purple and Black by him recently. Check out my November TBR, wrap up, because it was random. It just randomly appeared. I bought it and I read it and it was great. Next one, continuation of a series that I started a few months ago. Arm of the Sphinx, Senlin, whatever. Books of Babel, that's the series. I'm reading the second one. If you don't know that much about Senlin Ascends, there's a lot of videos about it. Senlin Ascends is about a school teacher who is slightly naive that goes on a honeymoon with his wife to the Tower of Babel. And this is, feels kind of steampunk fantasy, just a little bit. It's really cool. His wife gets kidnapped, and thus the plot ensues, and we get to explore the tower because he's looking for his wife. That's Senlin Ascends. This is book 2. Has he found his wife yet? You should read Senlin Ascends to figure it out. And this is actually the next book is the second book that I have on my TBR. That is the end of a series. I mean, end of a series, but it's in the end of a series. Thrawn, Lesser Evil. Thrawn Ascendancy, Lesser Evil to be exact. Timothy Zahn created Thrawn ages and ages ago. One of the first books published for the Star Wars Expanded Universe after Episode 6 had come out. So this kind of, the Thrawn series in the old Expanded Universe kind of kickstarted it. It made it very popular for people that knew that there wouldn't be other movies or didn't expect more movies, essentially. This is a continuation of the stories that he's told in the past, in essence that it follows Thrawn. He has brought Thrawn back to the new Disney universe, which is amazing because Thrawn is an amazing character. He is an alien, a Chiss to be exact, so he's blue skin, bright red eyes, and he is a military strategist, an amazing commander, and brilliant mind. And this follows him not while he's in the Empire, not while he's, working for them, which he does eventually do. This is when he is in the Chiss ascendancy. This series has been interesting so far. I think the second one was definitely weaker than the first. And the names, honestly, are kind of confusing in this series because of how the structure, just the structure of how names are formed. Because you have family name first, and then the last syllable of family name is part of your given name. Like Thrawn is Mithron Naruto, I think. And Myth is his family name, so his Thrawn, last sound of the family name. It's kind of confusing, but it's just a different culture. The first one in the series was fantastic, I think. Really showcased Thrawn. I've heard good things that Thrawn is definitely in this one a lot more than he was in the second one, which was the big problem with the second one, was Thrawn was barely in it. Or it felt like he was barely in it. So, I'm excited to get done with this one and have another Star Wars series under my belt. I have a tower of Star Wars kind of looking down on me. So this is kind of the start of, even though this is a brand new book that I just bought, and, you know, I guess this is the start of me trying to chip into the large amount of Star Wars books that I have sitting on my shelf that I need to read. Next up, it has been long foretold that I'll finish this, but I've been slowly chipping away at it. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clark. Whoopsies. Started this back in long time ago in a galaxy far, far, far away. I started this in October, and this is a reread for me. And I love it just as much as I loved it the first time. I know with me, sometimes I'm hesitant sometimes to speak about how much I loved books that I read almost before I started BookTube or started watching BookTube, because since then I've gotten more analytical in how I read. So I'm kind of like, okay, I liked it then, but am I going to like it now? This one holds up. I think the writing style is absolutely fantastic. But also the writing style is also the thing that could definitely turn you off from this series. There's a lot of footnotes. It talks about the history of England up until this point, because it is alternative history, because magic is a huge part of the history in this England. So it kind of explores that, which is really cool. So part 3, reading this, I'm excited to finish it, and it's so good, guys. If you haven't read it, definitely try it out. And finally, book number 11. I believe it is 11. At least my spreadsheet tells me so, because I do have a spreadsheet. Finally getting back to some self-publish. Sufficiently Advanced Magic by Andrew Rowe. This is a self-published book. I've been wanting to read this for ages. It's finally here. I'm going to read it. It's been sitting on my shelf long enough. This was part of an order of books that I bought to try to appease Amazon and let me review books on Amazon. But alas, Amazon is stupid. So I have this book, so I'm all the better. I've been looking forward to this, guys. I've heard really good things about this book. It's about a guy who's going into a tower to save his brother. Yeah. Corin. Yeah. There's magic. There's a tower. It's kind of gamey. This reminds me of a few different animes I've seen in the past. Kind of a combination of the Magi one, with Aladdin and everything, with blue hair and the Ruch. And then there was another kind of sciencey magic one that a brother and sister were kind of geniuses or whatever that this kind of reminds me of. If I have a picture of it, I'll put it here. But it kind of reminds me of that, just from the cover alone, which gives me good vibes because I like both of those animes. Yeah, so that's everything I'm reading in December. What else is going on in December? Well, I didn't think about this till I was, actually filming the video, because I hadn't assigned prompts to these yet. But the reindeer games are happening. So, last year on Shelf Space, we did the reindeer games, of which the Snow Misers definitely won. Certainly, obviously, they definitely won. And since then, Shelf Space has grown very, very large, so we are not able to do teams this year. And thus, we have bingo! If you start and complete a book, you can count it for a prompt. And one prompt is one prompt per book, one book per prompt. To clarify, if you get bingo, well, what do you get at bingo? Well, you get an entry into our pot. We don't have a physical pot right now because electronics, but we have a pot of entries. You can get up to 3 entries into the pot. And at the end of the month, what we're going to do, we're going to tally up all the bingos. We're going to put them in the pot, 3 for each person at most, and we're going to draw. I can't remember how many winners we might have. We're going to have at least one winner, maybe more, that we will buy them a book of their choice, roughly around 15 to 20 US dollars. That's what we're going to do. So, if you want to possibly win a free book around Christmas, or really around the New Year, participate. Bingo. I don't even know where I'm going to put my books on bingo, but I'm going to go for it. Although, I think I will probably disqualify myself because I am one of the people that is helping with all of this, so I'm not actually going to do it, but I'm going to be doing bingo because participation. Conflict of interest, get it out of the way. I'm not being drawn for bingo. Cool. That's the readathon announcement. That's my TBR. I'll see you guys later. Get some rest because it's important.